annals of horror. Few tales chill the soul like those that linger just beyond the realm of understanding. And in the cobweb corridors of our collective nightmares, there are certain cases that even the great Sherlock Holmes chose to forget. This is a tale that delves into the unpublished, the unspoken, the horrifying enigma that still haunts our nightmares after all these years. This is the story of Sherlock Holmes and the Caldwell Manor enigma. The year is 1899, and London's fog-laden streets have surrendered to the chilling embrace of winter. In the dim oil lamp light of Baker Street, Sherlock Holmes paces restlessly, his long silhouette stretching and twisting like a wraith against the wall. Dr. Watson sits perched on the edge of his chair, pen poised over a notepad, watching his friend with a mixture of concern and fascination. There is a knock at the door. A visitor stands before them, haggard and desperate. His name is not disclosed, but his haunted eyes speak volumes of the horrors he has witnessed. "He came to Mr. Holmes," he begins, his voice cracking like a whip in the stillness, "because he knows there are things that defy explanation, that mock the very laws of reason. His brother," he says, "his brother is dead, or perhaps he is alive, or perhaps he is something else." The visitor's brother, Elias, was an artist who had retreated to the secluded Caldwell Manor in Devonshire to work on his paintings. But now he hasn't been heard from in weeks. His last letter spoke of strange occurrences in the old house, of footsteps at night, of whispers in the dead of the morning, and of a pervasive sense of dread that clung to him like a shroud. Concerned, the brother had gone to check on him, only to find the house empty and Elias nowhere to be seen. And so he turns to Sherlock Holmes, the master of the seemingly impossible, the solver of riddles that confound the human mind. Intrigued, Holmes rises, accepting the case. Watson, ever the loyal companion, prepares to accompany his friend on what promises to be a most peculiar journey, as the carriage carrying Holmes and Watson rolls away. From the bustling city and into the desolate countryside, the landscape transforms into a haunting tableau of gnarled trees silhouetted against a bruised sky. Their destination, Caldwell Manor, sits atop a wind-blasted hill like a rotting crown of a once glorious kingdom. By the time they reach the manor, twilight has surrendered to the velvety cloak of night, leaving behind a sky studded with indifferent stars. The air is thick with the scent of decaying leaves and a deeper, more sinister fragrance that Holmes detects but cannot quite place. They are met by the visitor at the door, whose face is etched with worry and exhaustion. Together, they cross the threshold and step into the heart of darkness. Inside, the atmosphere is heavy with mildew and secrets. The grand halls, once echoing with life and laughter, are now tomb-like in their silence. The fire in the hearth has died, leaving behind only embers that glow like dying stars. The portraits on the wall seem to leer down at them, their eyes to black pits in the gloom. The visitor leads them to the artist's room, where the remnants of his life still lay about. The easel stands like a silent sentinel, the paint-smeared palette resting upon it as if awaiting its master's return. But it is the mirror that catches Holmes's attention. The glass is shattered, the shards radiating out from the center like the spokes of a wheel, revealing nothing behind save darkness. Holmes examines the damage closely, noting the peculiar pattern of the cracks. Then, as he does, a sudden draft stirs, sending a shiver down his spine. The temperature in the room drops precipitously, and the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. He finds chalk lying about, picks it up and notices that it is covered in blood. He uses it to write underneath the mirror. He never left. It feels sacrilegious, like disturbing the resting place of some long-dead king. Yet something compels him to continue the investigation. As night deepens, Holmes and Watson retire to guest rooms at opposite ends of the manor. But sleep evades them both. Watson is awoken in the night by a sound that chills him to the bone. a low, mournful sob that seems to emanate from the very walls themselves. When he steps out into the corridor, he sees a translucent figure dart past him, its eyes hollow and staring, its mouth open in a silent scream. Too shocked to call out, he watches it disappear around a corner. When Holmes learns of this apparition, he does not dismiss it as a figment of Watson's imagination, nor does he mock it as a mere ghost. Instead, he looks at the spot where the figure had appeared and disappeared and decides to investigate. His keen eyes notice a slight variance in the texture of the wallpaper, a subtle difference in the pattern, which indicates that there is a space behind it, with a small, almost imperceptible bulge. Using a concealed blade, he cuts into the wallpaper, revealing a secret passageway behind it. He slips inside, finding it to be a narrow tunnel just large enough to accommodate his slight frame. At the far end, he hears a voice whispering his name. Startled, he hurriedly makes his way back to the passage. The voice continues to follow him, growing louder, more insistent. Just as Holmes reaches the point of entry, another voice, Watson's, calls out to him from the other side of the wall. Terrified that Watson might accidentally discover the passage and enter it, Holmes presses his back against the wallpaper, desperately trying to make himself invisible. Watson, unaware of the danger that lurks just inches away, investigates further, seeking to determine the source of the eerie sound. When he reaches the point where Holmes had entered the passage, he feels a sudden chill. His hand brushes against the same spot where Holmes had pressed his back, and he feels an inexplicable surge of fear. Unable to explain his sudden terror, he retreats back to Holmes, who is anxiously waiting for him, his face ashen, his eyes wide with unspoken fear. Together, they decide to abandon the search for the night, agreeing to resume it in the morning when reason and daylight are on their side. The following morning, Holmes returns to the artist's room, finding a hidden compartment behind the wardrobe. Inside, he discovers a collection of ancient blueprints of the house. Among them, he finds a drawing of the layout of the house, indicating a secret room accessible only by a spiral staircase concealed behind a bookcase. He and Watson rush to the location indicated on the blueprints, a chamber used for storing old furniture and forgotten memories. Pushing aside the heavy drapes that conceal it, Holmes steps through the opening and finds himself in a dusty, disused part of the house. In the center of the room, dominated by a colossal stone fireplace, stands a bookcase. Its intricate carvings seem to writhe and twist like tormented souls, and the titles of the books within mock their silent imprisonment. Holmes runs his fingers along the spines, feeling the embossed letters beneath his touch, searching for a particular combination that would reveal the secret passage. Finally, his fingers close over the words, the Necronomicon, and with a click, the bookcase swings inward, revealing a dark and narrow staircase spiraling into the depths below. With a deep breath, Holmes descends into the unknown, followed closely by Watson. At the bottom of the stairs, they find themselves in a dank, ill-lit chamber. The air is thick with the scent of decay and the lingering essence of things long dead. On the floor, they see remnants of occult rituals, animal bones, charred candle stubs, and sigils that twist and writhe like living things. As Holmes examines these disturbing relics, he feels a cold dread seep into his bones. From somewhere in the shadows, a voice whispers, "You shouldn't have come." The whisper sends a fresh wave of terror through Holmes and Watson. They turn to flee, but the passage behind them seems to have vanished, swallowed by the darkness as if it were never there. Trapped and hunted, they brace themselves for whatever horror may emerge from the gloom. Suddenly, something stirs in the shadows, coiling and uncoiling like a slumbering serpent. It takes shape, and Holmes sees with growing horror the outline of a hunched figure emerge from the darkness. The flames from a nearby candle flicker, casting grotesque shadows that dance and twist on the walls. And from this macabre play of light and shade, they see the face of the creature. It is gaunt and skeletal, its eyes hollow pits of endless night, its mouth stretched into a silent scream. For a moment, Holmes and Watson are frozen in the grip of primal fear. Then, as if awakened from a dream, they turn and flee, racing back up the secret staircase and bursting through the hidden bookcase, back into the relative safety of the dusty storage room. They don't stop running until they are outside in the cold morning air, the specter of the house receding behind them like a fading nightmare. Safe at Baker Street, Holmes pores over his private journal, his usually sharp eyes clouded with a haunted look. He writes in a shaky hand, "There are mysteries logic cannot solve. Caldwell Manor is one such place. Some puzzles should remain unsolved." The echo of those words still rings in our ears, a testament to the horrors that lurk just beyond our understanding. The case of Caldwell Manor remains a chilling footnote in the annals of the supernatural, a haunting reminder of the darkness that can consume even the brightest of minds. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more spine-chilling tales and join us next time for another chilling narrative. Until then, keep your doors locked and your wits sharper than ever.